I guess I could let you live with us as a maid. But not as a family member. Crossing her arms, my mother-in-law glared at me and said, "My husband and sister-in-law did not try to stop her. They just looked at me with a nasty smirk." The three of them, my mother-in-law, husband, and sister-in-law, had just started living in a luxurious high-rise apartment. They got it with the company's money to live separately from me, their daughter-in-law. If that's how they want it, I'll tell them everything. Who they should thank for being able to live in that fancy apartment. My name is Vanessa, and I'm 33 years old. I have a family of 3, my 35-year-old husband, Gabriel, and our 3-year-old son, Michael. Gabriel and I met at a friend's wedding. I was a friend of the bride, and Gabriel was a friend of the groom. We ended up organizing the wedding after party together. That's why we often met before the wedding. To shop for bingo prizes for the party and to plan a surprise movie for the bride and groom. After the successful wedding and after party, Gabriel contacted me, asking if we could meet again even though the wedding and party were over. I replied that I wanted to meet too, and that's how our relationship began. Our relationship went smoothly, and on my birthday about 2 years later, Gabriel proposed to me. I remember being overjoyed. However, until we decided to get married, I had never met Gabriel's family and had no idea what kind of family they were. After we got engaged, the day came for me to meet Gabriel's parents and sister. We were introduced at Gabriel's family home. This is Vanessa. I think I've told you about her. We're getting married. So we came to say hello today. Nice to meet you. I'm Vanessa. I may be inexperienced, but I hope to have a good relationship with you all. Oh, Vanessa, same here. Let's help each other out and have a good relationship. As she said this, my mother-in-law smiled kindly at me. And I felt relieved that I could probably get along well with this family. But that feeling was short-lived. Suddenly my mother-in-law said, "So, when are Gabriel and Vanessa going to start living with us?" Currently, Gabriel works at a steak restaurant run by his father. His younger sister, Janet, and mother also work there. The president is his father, the vice president his mother. And Gabriel and Janet handle the hall and kitchen work, employing several part-timers. Their family home is very close to the steak restaurant. Janet and my in-laws live in that house, but it seems they want us, the newlyweds, to live there too. Surprised by my mother-in-law's unexpected suggestion, I quickly glanced at Gabriel. But he responded as if it were natural. "Yeah, maybe next month. We'll move in soon." I was about to object. But I didn't want to be disliked by my husband and his family right after getting married. I thought we could live together again once things cooled down. So I didn't argue against living with his family. Because of that, I couldn't say anything against the cohabitation. And thus started living with my in-laws. Due to the move, I had to quit my job, which I had before marriage. While I was job hunting, my father-in-law asked me to work with them. So I started working as a hall staff member in the family-run steak restaurant. On a day when there were few customers, we closed the shop early and decided to have dinner as a family. Since we won't have any more customers today, let's close early and have dinner together. Vanessa, you'll cook, right? I briefly wondered why I had to cook alone for the 5 of us. But I didn't object and silently prepared meals for everyone. The menu included fried chicken, simmered pumpkin, salad, and soup. As I placed the dishes on the dining table, my father-in-law frowned and muttered, "Fried chicken for old people, huh?" Gabriel also complained, "I don't really like pumpkin." And Janet added, "This tastes bland. Not good." I hurriedly apologized. "I'm so sorry. I should have thought more about it. I'll be more careful from now on." Vanessa, the flavor is bland and the menu is the worst. With those words, my mother-in-law delivered the final blow. Then, laughing, she said to everyone, "Who would have thought it would come to this? My cooking is far more delicious." The rest of the family chimed in with praise for her cooking. Absolutely. Mom's cooking is the best. If it had been Mom's pumpkin dish, it would have been fine. Mom is good at seasoning every dish. Seeing her family's reaction, my mother-in-law looked smugly satisfied. And so, days like these continued. One day, while I was working at my in-laws' steak restaurant, I heard a loud thud from the kitchen, followed by my mother-in-law's scream. Gabriel and I rushed to the kitchen, only to find my father-in-law unconscious. We closed the restaurant immediately and rushed him to the hospital, but sadly, he passed away. The cause was a myocardial infarction. The sudden death of my father-in-law took a toll on my mother-in-law's health. Following Gabriel and Janet's advice, she decided to quit her job. Gabriel and the others are right, I'm retiring. Vanessa will take over my duties. Unable to refuse her request, I nodded in agreement. Gabriel then took over as president, and Janet became the vice president. A year has passed since my father-in-law's death. During that time, I discovered I was pregnant and safely gave birth to a baby boy, whom we named Michael. With the need to provide for Michael, expenses increased. Despite our best efforts, the restaurant struggled with declining patronage. One day, during a slow shift, Gabriel and Janet started a conversation. "Hey, Gabriel. Don't you think the number of customers has been decreasing lately?" "Really?" "Well, there are slow periods in business. We're the owners, it'll be fine." "Right. You're so understanding, brother. We have nothing to fear." Watching them laugh and joke with each other, I felt uneasy. They seemed too relaxed, almost overconfident. I watched Gabriel and Janet's exchange with a sense of unease. In the end, the customers didn't return, and we had to let go of the part-time staff one by one. Eventually, only our family was left to run our family-owned steak restaurant. There used to be about 40 customers during lunch and around 60 during dinner. But lately, even on a busy day, the number has halved. Feeling anxious about this situation and the laid-back attitude of the siblings, I couldn't help but speak up during a family meal. "Gabriel, Janet mentioned it too, but I think our sales have been dropping. We need money for Masaki's future. Maybe we should try some advertising. I can help with posting flyers." "What are you talking about? You don't know anything about running a business. Vanessa, you're an outsider. Are you criticizing our children's management?" "Yeah, maybe it's because of Vanessa's poor service. Sales have dropped since she took over from Mom. It must be her fault." Gabriel became visibly upset. My mother-in-law glared at me disapprovingly. And Janet slammed her hand on the table, leaning forward to blame me. Do they even realize what they are saying? Sales are down, and they show no sense of crisis. They even lash out at me when I try to help. I wanted to argue, but knew it would only lead to more resistance. Feeling somewhat resigned, I apologized and decided not to pursue the flyer distribution. After that meal, feeling more anxious, I secretly started a side job for the sake of my beloved son. I posted an ad online, surprise videos with low price. I was actually quite good at creating surprise videos for friends. Once I completed one video, more requests came in. Not just for surprise videos, but also editing YouTube videos and creating short clips for various genres. Creating videos had always been a passion for me, and I never found it burdensome. Additionally, the increasing rewards for the work I accomplished added to my sense of fulfillment. However, at one point, my mother-in-law confronted me with, "Vanessa, I hear you've been up to something recently?" A side job? What a leisurely daughter-in-law you are. It's fine, but make sure you're doing your job at the steak restaurant properly, okay? Her sarcastic tone didn't sit well with me, but I couldn't afford to start a quarrel. All I said in response was, leisurely? I'm sorry, I'll make sure to do my job at the restaurant. My mother-in-law left the scene with an obvious look of displeasure, huffing, "Humph." Then, on a swelteringly hot summer day, Vanessa, I'm going out with Gabriel and Janet on an errand, so you prepare dinner. After giving me the instruction, the three of them left the house. It was so hot that day, even the news reported a heat wave. I decided to let Michael play in a pool to cool off, so after preparing dinner, I started setting up a plastic pool. After inflating the pool and filling it with water, Michael was playing in it when the doorbell rang. It was a delivery person at the front door, so I went to receive the package while holding Michael. Just then, my mother-in-law returned home and snatched the package from me, saying, "That's mine, Vanessa. Hand it over quickly." She opened the box right there and handed me a piece of paper, saying, "Here, the receipt." Despite the restaurant's struggling sales and financial hardships, she seemed to still be expending her personal items. Following her, Gabriel and Janet entered the room, saying, "That was delicious, wasn't it? Such a good restaurant. I'm so full." It was really tasty. It turned out they had gone out to eat. Excuse me? Mother, didn't you ask me to prepare dinner? I've already made it. What are you talking about? I said we were going out to eat, so you were supposed to make your own dinner. Stunned, I then heard Janet add, "Really? You made dinner for everyone? How silly." "Oh, here's the receipt. Make sure you sort out the expenses, okay?" She passed me the receipt with a half smile, as if mocking me. Once again, they had used company money for their meal. I was frustrated. I had prepared the meal, only to feel ignored and taken for granted. But I remembered that indeed, my mother-in-law hadn't said to prepare dinner for everyone. So I tried to suppress my anger. For a while, Gabriel and Janet relaxed on the living room sofa, passionately discussing the future operations of the steak restaurant. Suddenly, a loud scream came from the garden. Oh my God. It was my mother-in-law's voice. Gabriel, Janet, and I rushed to the garden. There, we found my mother-in-law sitting in the children's plastic pool, completely soaked. While I struggled to suppress a laugh, Gabriel and Janet looked genuinely worried. Ouch. I didn't expect the pool to be out here. I went out into the garden and tripped over the hose. She seemed quite flustered and in pain. Janet even looked like she was about to cry. "Oh no. Mom, you scared me. Are you really okay? Hey. You. Why would you leave something like this lying around? It's dangerous. Mom could have been hurt." Gabriel and Janet glared at me as if they were furious demons. Hearing this, my mother-in-law began to exaggerate her pain. Ouch. My back hurts. I might catch a cold because of this. All because of Vanessa. What a terrible daughter-in-law. Angry, my mother-in-law ranted at me, but I tried my best to explain the situation. "I'm so sorry, Mother. It was so hot, I let Michael play in the pool. Then the package arrived, and right after that, you all came back." However, it seemed my explanation fell on deaf ears. That night, my mother-in-law called everyone to the dining table, saying she had something to discuss. It looked like she had made up her mind to say something. I've thought about it a lot. I'm scared to live with Vanessa anymore. After what happened. With tears in her voice and looking down, my mother-in-law made her appeal. I couldn't help but respond in shock. Scared. What? That pool, Vanessa, you set it up as a trap for me, didn't you? You're always so harsh towards me. I can't stand living with you anymore. So, I'm leaving this house. Mom. That's awful. If you're leaving, I'm going with you. You're getting older and can't be alone. Though I was unfairly made out to be the villain. And couldn't understand what my mother-in-law was accusing me of. A part of me was relieved at the thought of finally being able to live with just Gabriel and Michael. But then, Gabriel made a shocking statement. I'm going too. I'll live with Mom and Janet. The three of us together. I couldn't believe it. I grabbed Gabriel's arm, exasperated. Wait, what about Michael? What are you saying? But then, Gabriel forcefully shook off my hand and continued. Stop it. It's your fault. Harassing Mom. We'll live as three. You should just live with Michael. I'll come to see him. My mind went blank. I realized my mistake in thinking my husband would be on my side. Oh. What kind-hearted, wonderful children I have. I was certain now, my mother-in-law had planned this. The proof was in her smirk directed at me. Ignoring my growing anger, they continued discussing their future plans without me. I overheard my mother-in-law talking about money and business management, which she clearly didn't understand, yet she had contracted a luxury high-rise apartment. With the restaurant's sales in decline, I was astonished by her decision to move into a high-rise. But since I was no longer living with them, I decided not to comment. About 2 weeks after my mother-in-law, Gabriel, and Janet moved into the high-rise, I was asked to pick up some supplies for the steak restaurant at their house. Mother-in-law, showing off, welcomed me. Come in, come in. Look at our house, isn't it amazing? Indeed, looking inside, the balcony was spacious with a nice view. The location, being directly connected to the station, meant that one could come home without getting wet on rainy days. And above all, it had a stylish exterior. Suddenly, my mother-in-law said, Vanessa, you can live with us as a maid, but not as a family member. She said this with a contemptuous look, arms crossed. Gabriel and Janet just looked on with nasty smirks. I had reached my limit. Triggered by my mother-in-law's words, I decided, no, thank you. I'm getting a divorce. Mother-in-law, suddenly flustered, exclaimed. What did you say? Gabriel. Vanessa is talking about divorce. What's going on? Gabriel and Janet, equally surprised and disheveled, rushed over. Why? A divorce all of a sudden? Because I can't see a future with your family, not just with you. You don't love me, but you sure love your mother. What are you saying? I'm her son. Of course, I love my mom. Hearing this, I was utterly dismayed. How deep does his mother complex go? Anyway, I'm getting a divorce. By the way, Gabriel's monthly income is $400, and Janet's is $300. As I spoke calmly, the three of them looked utterly shocked. As if their legs had given out from under them. That can't be right. That must be a mistake. Amidst her shrill protests, I showed her the sales data and their salary slips. You remember, I mentioned that our customer turnout has drastically dropped, right? Some days, we don't have any customers. Did you think we were still making money like when father-in-law was healthy? As I was talking, something struck me as funny, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. No way. But we can afford the rent for this high-rise, right? That means my management isn't all that bad, is it? The moment had come to tell the furious Gabriel, as well as my mother-in-law and Janet, who they had to thank for being able to live in their beloved luxury high-rise. You're not paying the rent at all properly. It's only because I've been putting the money I earned from My side job into the business that you think you can afford it. It's not thanks to your management. In fact, the video editing side job I started was a huge success. Without telling the three of them, I had been using the money I earned to cover the expenses of the high-rise apartment, which had a monthly rent of $8,000. What? Their combined income is only $700 a month? The tears in my mother-in-law's eyes seemed genuine for once, perhaps due to the shock. I wondered why the customers were staying away and our sales were plummeting. When I looked into it, I found this. I showed them my smartphone screen. It displayed posts about Gabriel's Steak Restaurant on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and more. The meat at that steak place is tough and tastes bad. They served us dirty glasses. The kitchen staff were constantly chatting, which was unpleasant. The manager has no manners and smells of cigarettes. The waitress has such long nails, it's unhygienic. And so on. Janet, I told you, long nails are a no-no for food service staff. Such nails lead to sloppy washing up. You're unhygienic, careless, and a mama's boy and brother complex. And a person who harasses their brother's wife will definitely not be popular. You're doomed to be single forever. Janet glared at me resentfully, but soon snapped at Gabriel. It's your fault, brother. I told you not to change the meat type. Now everyone knows it's tough. Gabriel, in turn, attacked Janet, and the two of them started arguing loudly. My mother-in-law tried to intervene, but Gabriel and Janet were too busy blaming each other and venting their mutual grievances. Anyway, I no longer want anything to do with you. Not a single penny of the money I've earned will be spent on you. Enjoy living with your two children, whose combined income is $700 a month. I made myself clear and left the high-rise apartment. After that, I took Michael and went back to my parents' house. My parents were surprised to see their daughter and grandson return so suddenly with big luggage. After I explained everything, they said, "You did well to endure." They gladly accepted me and Michael to live with them. I then sent Gabriel the divorce papers, and the divorce was quickly finalized. Of course, the three of them couldn't afford the $8,000 rent for the high-rise and were soon evicted. The bad reputation of the family-run Streak restaurant continued, eventually forcing it to close. The three are now living in a cramped, run-down apartment. Both Gabriel and Janet, now over 30 and unemployed, couldn't find full-time work and had to juggle multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet. My mother-in-law also had to take up a cleaning job. And all three of them are working themselves to exhaustion every day. Despite once being a close-knit family, they now constantly fight, blaming each other for the restaurant's closure and the fallout of their lives. It's brother's fault the steak place closed. It's all because of mom that I got divorced. You two are why dad's restaurant went under. As for me, I expanded my work from video editing to teaching. And now I receive offers from schools across the country. After turning 30, my side job became my main profession. I've started my own business and, as a successful entrepreneur, am now in high demand by the media. My cute son Michael and I now live in a high-rise apartment in San Francisco.